I've been in this chicken game a long time. I gotta tell you, rats are like the #1 concern of neighbors, of city councils, of HOAs. They're always saying, oh, chickens are gonna bring rats into our neighborhood. I am here to tell you today that that doesn't have to be the case, but it's gonna take a little bit of action on your part, so let's talk about it. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. Are you okay, Delilah? Huh? Are you nervous? I'm gonna put you down. She doesn't like it. Oh, I remember one time I was teaching a class at a senior center, and before I started teaching, a woman came up to me and she said, I just want to tell you, it's because of you we have rats in my neighborhood. And I remember just being like, okay. And then her friend was like, I was like, okay. I went into this whole spiel, which I'm about to do right now. Well, I don't think a lot of people think about this, but the truth is there are rodents everywhere. And I mean everywhere, whether you live in the city, whether you live in the suburbs, whether you live out in the country, there is going to be a rodent presence where you live, unless you're in Antarctica or you're on the moon. When it comes to chickens and rat infestations, I feel like chickens get a really bad rap because there are a lot of things that can bring a rodent infestation, which is what we're trying to avoid, into an area. A big one are bird feeders. And I don't see HOAs getting into, these big disputes because of bird feeders. Maybe they do, and I just don't know about it. But in general, having bird feeders in your yard doesn't create as much of a controversy as having chickens when it comes to possibly bringing rodents into a neighborhood. So even though we know that there are other things that can bring a rodent infestation into a neighborhood, it is absolutely true that chickens, if you're not taking some mindful precautions, can create rodent infestations. And these situations are so bad. Once it happens, it's really hard to get control over that without some professional help. You could get a cat. There's lots of barn cats out there that are looking for homes. That would probably be the best thing that you could do, but it may be a situation where you're gonna have to spend some money and get some professional help. We don't want it to get to that point. So today we're gonna cover some things that really should be part of your chicken keeping routine in order to keep the likelihood of a rat infestation or a mice infestation down, because that's what we want to do. Anywhere that you're outside, there is going to be a rodent presence, sometimes inside. Hopefully not. But like I said, there are rodents everywhere. So the idea is not to eliminate every single rodent, but it's to make it to where there is balance in your chicken yard and you're not dealing with an infestation. These chickens are so loud today. I'm sorry. One of the things I see a lot, and with new chicken keepers especially, but if someone is keeping chickens and they have small children, or maybe they have like a preschool or an elementary school and they've got chickens at the school, unfortunately I've seen a lot of rodent infestations in those situations. And the reason is because people are giving their chickens treats, which is great, especially if you have little kids. Of course you're gonna wanna give your chickens kitchen scraps, you're gonna wanna give them treats, but what happens is they get a little bit overzealous with it and the little kids are just like dumping out treats to the chickens and food gets left out. And then it's left out overnight. And if any kind of feed or anything that smells good to rodents is left out overnight, that will be the initial thing that they come for. And then if there's other things in the yard that is attractive to them, they will stay and they will have babies and there will be an infestation. Trust me, I know how fun it is to give chickens treats. I do it all the time. I'm about to do it right now. I'm gonna give my chickens some grubs from Grubbly Farms. Let me show you what I do. So here I have my big bag of Grubbly Farms. The chickens are gonna all come around here in a minute, but I am pretty far away from my chicken coop. And the reason I'm doing that is because whether you're giving grubs, something like this, look at how delicious that is, or whether you're feeding your chickens scraps from the kitchen, if it's like fruit and vegetables, especially if it's like meat scraps, you really want to do it as far away from your coop as you possibly can. You guys be nice to each other. Okay, come on. And be quiet after this. Whenever you are feeding scraps and whenever you are feeding treats, we want to not leave treats out overnight, and we don't want to be overzealous with our treats because that's actually not good for your chickens. And like I said, it can cause rodents. What you really want to do is make sure that your chickens clean up any scraps or any treats that you leave out for them before nightfall. And if they don't, you want to clean that up before the sun goes down, because you don't want to leave that big rodent buffet out overnight. The mice and the rats come out at night, so they're looking for an easy meal. They are opportunists, and you don't want them to be able to be like, oh my gosh, there's food here every night. This is where I'm gonna have my babies. If you are free feeding your flock, meaning you are using like a gravity feeder that's always full and they can get to their feed whenever they want to during the daylight hours, you really want to be mindful about where you're storing your feeder at night. So either you want to put your feeder in a rodent-proof area at night, or because feeders can be really heavy, maybe you don't want to be moving them around all the time, you will want to feed your chickens in an area that is rodent-proof so that overnight rats and mice can't get to that area. And I know what a lot of you are thinking about mice. You're like, oh, chickens will eat mice. But chickens can't handle an infestation of mice, and mice are nocturnal. So a lot of them will come out at night when chickens aren't hunting. So yes, if there's like a big infestation and you've got mice in your chicken yard during the day, that would be evidence of an infestation. Then yeah, your chickens are gonna eat them, and you may not see many of them during the day, but it's at night that we have to worry about, and chickens just aren't active during that time. There's a wasp. There's a wasp! Okay, buddy, go. Oh. Sorry, buddy. My chicken got it. Oh well. There are feeders that are rodent proof, so grandpa feeders are really great. They're great feeders as far as like rodent control is concerned. And then there are other do-it-yourself feeders that you can make rodent proof. Now, that being said, if your feeder is made out of plastic, even like some thin metals, even cement sometimes, if there's a big enough infestation and the animals have night after night to be working on a certain area, they can breach all of those materials. So another thing that you're gonna wanna do no matter what kind of feeder you're using is you're gonna wanna look for evidence of rats and holes and stuff, and if there is evidence that they've chewed through an area and now they have access to your coop, or they have access to another area where you wouldn't want them to be, you need to fix that and stay on top of that all the time. So another thing you're gonna wanna think about is just how you're storing your feed when it's not in the feeder. So let's say you have 50 pounds of feed, you've got a big tub that you're storing them in. You really want that tub to be rodent proof or in a place that is rodent proof. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with mice inside the feeder and with rats around the feeder and with rats trying to chew through the feeder. You don't want that. You really want them to get frustrated and give up so they don't decide to raise babies in your yard, okay? Rodent-proof storage doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Actually, if you have one of those really thick coolers, like a big thick cooler that you're not using for anything else, you can use one of those with a nice bungee cord around it. And that is a pretty sturdy feed container. Now, it's not gonna keep out bears, but maybe not keep out raccoons, but it should keep out rats and mice unless you have a very serious infestation going on. Another good one is a metal trash can. I would, again, put a bungee cord around that to keep that lid nice and secure on the top. But that's another one that's gonna be really hard for them to breach. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot less likely than something really flimsy, like flimsy plastic, or if you're just keeping chicken feed in the bags in an area that isn't rodent proof, that's not a good idea. I store my chicken feed in a rodent proof container inside my chicken coop. I really don't recommend, if you have another place to store your feed, to store it in the chicken coop. So if you can help it, don't do that. This is the best place that I have to store my feed. I have another rodent proof shed where I keep like my bulk feed. In here I have a tub of chicken feed. The tub is pretty rodent proof and my coop is rodent proof. But I check it all the time for breaches. So you want to look in the corners, you want to look around the doors, are there any holes? Because those are the things that you want to correct right away before they start saying, hey, it's really easy to get in here and there's food. So these may feel like really simple things, but they're so important when it comes to keeping not just rodents, but other predators out of your chicken yard. Because if you have a really intense rodent infestation in your chicken yard, that means you're gonna have a lot of predators coming around. And if rats can get into your chicken yard at that level, then it's probably likely that other animals can get in too, like weasels, like skunks, animals that you really don't want to get to your chickens. Now, that being said about predators, I have a very controversial stance. It has to do with rats, it has to do with predators. I do have a video about it if you're curious what I have to say about predator proofing your chicken yard and how that relates with rats and keeping rats out of your chicken yard. I want you to watch the video that's on the screen right now. Guess what? It's 100% friendly backyard chickens education and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it.